Hey game designers, in this tutorial we're going to talk about how to import and set up parallax backgrounds. So let's go ahead and open up GameFroot. Okay, I'm going to click start making here. Make sure you log in. I'm going to click on our tutorial. So we're on scene 2, and when we last left off we added this custom health bar. Now let's go ahead and use a different scene. We should have created an extra copy of this scene inside of scene as scene 3, which we called level 2. And let's go ahead and create our parallax background here so that we can test it out. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and delete the background that we already have by clicking on it and then hitting the delete button. And we're going to do this in basically two different backgrounds. We'll do one at a time so that we get some practice in. I want you to grab the ice background right here that has like a sky, and we're going to go ahead and drop it into our scene. Now we can go ahead and use the properties window and set it to 0, 0 so that it's right on the upper left corner. And then we're going to do it again. I'm going to grab another copy of it and drop it over here or so. Now it doesn't matter if it lines up just perfectly. The script will take care of this issue for us. Okay. Now I do want you to notice that the backgrounds aren't perfectly aligned. So even if I made this perfect, which I think is 768 and 0, right? You can see here that the person who created the background did never consider that these two would be used as a scrolling background. So you can see here that there's going to be a slight visual bug here, but again, it's nothing to do with us. That's just having to do with the person who created the script. Okay, so I'm just going to make this back to like 800 or something and 0. Okay, so anyway, like those numbers don't matter. Again, the script will take care of it. It will create a parallax background for us. All right, so what we're going to do next is go ahead and delete the current scripts that's on the backgrounds because we don't want these to act like a normal background. Okay, so if you hit play right now, you will see that the scripts, oops, okay, in order for us to see this, let's go ahead and change the order of our scene because right now our game will go to level 1 before it goes to level 2. Just go ahead and grab level 2 here using the drop down menu, and we're just going to drag and drop it above level 1 so that we can playtest our parallax background here. So now you see the background and they don't move with the player or follow the camera, but they do act as regular objects that you can push around and things like that. Okay. All right. So before I begin telling you how to apply our script and review that with you guys, I want you guys to see that we need two backgrounds in order for this to work. So let me explain how scrolling backgrounds work, right? When you're playing on a game and the map is moving with you, right? The map is kind of moving as you're moving. Well, what happens is eventually, if your character is right about here, you're pretty much in the smack middle of this background. But if your character was over here, well, he's not going to see a background. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of it that is to the right. Okay, so if your character, for example, is right here, he's pretty much half of this background and half of this background. When your player moves over here, he's pretty much in the center of this background. But what happens when your character moves here? Well, what's going to happen is that this background over here is going to leapfrog over this background and end up over here. So that you see this seamless, endless scrolling background. Okay. Now, if your character decided to move backwards, like back over here, well, if this background was over here, it would have to leapfrog back over here so that you would not see white space. Okay. So that's how scrolling backgrounds work. Let's go ahead and start adding our script. Okay. So in this example, we're going to actually have two scripts. So let's go ahead and go to the code bar here, and we're going to add the first script. We're going to go into a blank script editor here. We're going to go to our Google Classroom. We're going to look for Parallax background scripts. You will see one called Parallax background script and one called Parallax grunt. Let's go and click on Parallax background script. Okay. Now this time around, I put it inside a Google Doc. What you're going to do is you're going to triple click. You're going to copy it. Okay, like that. Okay, or triple click and click Control C to copy it. We're going to go back to the script editor here. We're going to click on import script. We're going to click where it says paste code here. We're going to Control V or right click and paste. We're going to click on import. And now you will see my script in here. Now that our script is in here, we're going to go ahead and rename it. We're going to call it my Parallax background here. Okay, and we're going to click the X and we're going to save. Okay. Now, if you did it correctly, if you scroll to the very bottom, you should see my Parallax background. Okay, we're going to repeat this process again, except for the other script. So let's go and click back on Add New Script. We're going to see a blank script editor. We're going to click on Import Script. We're going to go back to our Google Classroom. Okay, and we're going to click on the second Google Doc, which is called Parallax Grunt. We're going to click on this. We're going to double click on this. We're going to go ahead and hit Control C to copy, or triple click and right click, copy, right? And let's go ahead and go back to our script editor here. We're going to go ahead and paste it. We're going to click on import. And you can see that the script is very small, nothing very complicated here. We'll go ahead and rename it by clicking on the untitled script. We're going to click let's call it my Parallax grunt. And we're going to click out of it. We're going to click X and save. Now, let's talk about why I called one Parallax background and the other one Parallax grunt. In the old days of computer science, when one thing controlled another object, we called this the master and this one the slave. But I choose to use a little bit different vocabulary. We'll call this one the Parallax background controller that has most of the code, and this one the Parallax grunt, which just listens to whatever the controller does. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and apply the script. I'm going to first apply the Parallax background script to the one on the left. You can see here that it matches the color that I have here. Yours may not be the same color. I'm going to go ahead and click on the other My Parallax grunt. Okay, and just click on it so that you can apply it. So I applied the Parallax background script here and the Parallax grunt script here. Let's go ahead and go back to the select tool. And you can see here when I click on this, it does not have any properties besides the 5 basic ones. Same thing goes for the grunt. If you guys remember from our previous example with the health bars, you had to come back in here and turn on the script editors. So we're going to go back here and click on the edit script. And we're going to need to change the properties. We're going to go to script properties. And the top 3 are the ones I want you guys to change. So we're going to go ahead and make all of these 3 public. Buffer pixel, distance 0 to 100, and grunt tag. And we're going to leave this as 0, 0, and grunt 1 for this example. Okay, so 0, 0, and grunt 1. So what is these numbers? I'll explain these 2 numbers later, but grunt tag means this is the controller, and the controller needs a grunt to control. So we're going to name that grunt, grunt 1. Okay, we're going to go ahead and click the X and save. Now, if we refresh the properties window, we click on somewhere else, we click back here, you can see that the 3 properties are now showing. We're going to go back here, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to click on the upper right-hand corner. We're going to go to Edit Script. And again, we're going to go to here and click on the script properties. We're going to make sure that it's public. And the name that we're going to give the grunt is the one that we gave before, which is grunt1. Making sure that these 2 have the same tag. we hit done, we close, and we save. Okay. All right, so we have these two. Let's go ahead and hit run now and see if our script works. So you can see now that that gap that I had is no longer there, and that the two backgrounds are welded perfectly. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if the scrolling background works. Like if I go over here, will this screen leapfrog over here? Okay, and so far it looks like it's seamless. But let me show you what happens when I get to about here. So you see here that it didn't seem like it leapfrogged, but if I go a little further, it leapfrogs over. So what's happening is that the leapfrogging of the first screen to becoming the third screen is a little bit delayed. It needs to be a little bit earlier, right? And this number of pixels is what we're going to have to put in as one of the properties so that the background will leapfrog early enough so that this does not happen. Okay, so we're going to go here to our Parallax background script, and we're going to change the buffer number to, let's say, 100. And we're going to hit play, and we're going to see if 100 pixels is the right number. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can jump above here. Okay, so you can see now that the minute I jumped over here, the the first screen is jumping a little bit too soon. So now it looks seamless on the right, but on the left, there's a little gap here. So 100 pixels made the first screen leapfrog too soon. So it looks like we're going to have to reduce that number by at least a third or so. So let's go ahead and try a third of 100 is 33 or about. So I'm just going to go 65 pixels. And now I'm going to hit play and play test my scoring background again. And you can see now that I don't see any white streaks here. I don't see any streaks on the right. So it looks like I got the perfect number where the screens are leapfrogging at just the right time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit close. And let's talk about the last number we have here, this distance 0 to 100. So this is the property that turns a scrolling background into a parallax background. So ideally, right, if this background was split into three separate backgrounds, the ice that's right here is the most closest to the player, and therefore should move the fastest. As the player goes to the right, the snow or ice layer should go relatively fast. Now the mountains and the clouds are much further away, so the faster I go to the right, the background and clouds, the mountains and clouds don't move as fast. So that's what this distance is for. It's designed to make it for you, the user, to put a number between 0 and 100. 0 means a distance of 0, meaning that if I go right, the objects will move to the left just as fast. And a distance of 100 means that the object is so far away in the background that it doesn't move at all. So let's go ahead and just kind of pick a number in between to kind of see the effect. Let's go ahead and go like 50. Okay, and go ahead and hit play. So this is meant for objects that are right in the middle. So not moving quite as fast as the player, but moving just enough to kind of get the feeling that you're in a believable space. Now, this might be good for like the trees, for example, but maybe going too fast for the clouds and the mountains, right? So you're just about to find that perfect medium. So we're getting a feeling that the background is moving and it's starting to be more believable that that this has some depth. Let's go ahead and click close. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually go ahead and repeat this entire process for a different background. So let's go ahead and go to media, and let's go ahead and scroll down to the backgrounds prefabs. And I'm going to use one of these walls. I'm going to use this green wall right here, and I'm going to place it at about this height. Okay. Now before you go ahead and drag in your wall, let's go ahead and make sure that we're still in the background layer. Okay. So let's go ahead and make the wall about yay high. Now the height doesn't matter as much as the X. Let's go ahead and make sure that it's 0 so that it's lined up on the left. Now the height, you can kind of move up and down to your liking, okay, based on how you feel about the feeling you want to get out of this level. So let's go ahead, I'm going to put it about that high. And I'm going to change again the X position to 0, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and grab another one. And again, it does not have to be aligned perfectly. The script will take care of it as long as you tell it which is its grunt. We're going to do the same thing we did last time, where we're going to go here and remove the script from the background, the wall background here. And I'm going to go over here and do the same thing. Remove the script. Okay. So now we have two walls that have no scripts. And now that we already imported the scripts, we can go ahead and quickly go to the Code tab, scroll down, and drag our Parallax background script and drag it or click it here. To apply it, we're going to click this and apply it there. Okay. Now both of ours have two different scripts. Let's go ahead and see if the properties are active. They are. So let's go ahead and change the tag so that these two have different tags. This one is grunt1. This one is grunt1. Let's go over here and change this one to grunt2. So this one says grunt1. This one says grunt2. This one says grunt1. And this one now should say grunt2. Okay. And now that this one says my name is grunt1, you're my grunt. This one is grunt2, you are my grunt. It looks like we can run now the script and see how it works. Now we may need to change the buffer pixel again and the distance between 0 and 100, but let's go ahead and hit run and see if we got the scrolling backgrounds working. So it looks like we have that same issue where the parallax background is creating this little white space. So let's take a hunch because it looks like these two backgrounds are the same size. So maybe 65 will work. Okay. And the wall is really close to the player. So I'm going to give it a value of 0 because it's basically right behind the player. At least that's how I want to make it feel like, that the wall is right behind the player and that the 65 pixel will work. And I'm going to change the background of the first one. The background of the first one seems like it could be really far away. So let's go ahead and choose a number like 65 pixels for the same number and 80 for the distance between 0 and 100. So now we have two different distances, one being very close to the player and one being much further in the back. Let's go ahead and hit play now. And let's see if we get that feeling of parallax background. So you can see here that the wall is moving just as fast as I'm moving, but the background is moving much slower, right? The wall is moving fast because it's close, and the wall in the background is moving much faster. And this gives it that feeling that that background is much more further away than this wall, okay? So I think we were able to accomplish what we wanted. Now, the problem with these backgrounds is that they don't go as far down as we would want. Obviously, that's just a matter of us editing our backgrounds to make it as deep as our level. So, or you can simply stretch it, but that's not a problem that we're here to deal with. Our script works perfectly. We're able to create this illusion of a parallax background. Let's go ahead and make sure we save our game here. Let's go to File, Save Our Game, and let's go ahead and move on to another video. I'll see you guys next tutorial.